Hey, it's Lori Alvarez with Real Estate with Soul, the podcast. I'm so excited to be on the podcast today. And guess what? Yep, Aim's missing again. She is out selling properties for us. We had a new set of buyers come in and they're looking at some new construction. Did you know we can help you with new construction? We can. And they love when we do help you with new construction. So if you're thinking about buying some new construction, for sure, tell us. We can help you navigate the new construction purchase, not only new construction, resale as well. So with that said, we're going to talk a little bit about moms in real estate. I thought this was kind of an interesting topic to cover because, yeah, I'm a mom in real estate and there's a lot of moms in real estate. And I think we got a lot of moms out there who are just trying to maneuver or intending to maneuver a fantastic career and still be that great mom, wife, person present in everything they do, right? So, with that said, every once in a while, Nolan, the guy in the back end here in the room with me listening in, is going to chime in to how his mom's been doing in real estate. And of course, he's always going to say something positive because that's just who he is. It's what I raised him to be. But he'll also give it in a truth on how we're doing with regards to it. So let's go ahead. Let's start talking about this. So I started my real estate career when Nolan, how old were you when I started real estate? You were probably like, let's think about this. How old were you when I started real estate? I think you may have been probably 2 or 3. That's what I think. And your older brothers were probably 7, 8, 9 when I started real estate. And let's see, did I work in the office? Did I bring my kids to work? No, I didn't work in an office. I worked from my home office. This is a beautiful thing about real estate, right? I could work from home, or so you think it's the beautiful thing about real estate, because you can work from anywhere. And yet, here's the deal. I worked from home. When I got my real estate license, I remember my broker distinctly said, "Hey, you want to learn about real estate and how to sell houses? Come on into the office, sit next to me, and you'll learn everything you know." And me, as a mom, I said, "What? No, not happening. I cannot come into the office. I have little kids, little sons running around the house who need my attention." So he followed that up with, "Lori Alvarez, once you get a deal, come on in. I'll help you work that deal through." I'm like, what the heck? How do I even get a deal? What does that mean? What is that language? I don't even understand that. So, no, I didn't take my kids to work. And yes, I had an office. Yes, I had a desk. And I didn't visit it very often because I worked from my home office, which is so great. Everyone works from a home office these days or works virtually. Well, I did. I worked from my home office. I had my little space carved out. I had a real big, beautiful pine desk. I loved that desk. It was so pretty. On my wood floor, you can still see where I had the desk mat for my rolling chair, right? I had this mat under my desk chair and my chair rolled around. And yep, I had that. And that's where I sat and I did a lot of my real estate just in the beginning. And my boys ran around the house making noise. What the heck do you do when your phone rings and the kids are like, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, I need your help"? What do? Well, This is what I taught my sons to do. Shh, mommy's on the phone. Shh, mommy's working. They got it. I had pretty good kids. They were like, okay, mommy's working. And yet there was a few times where they would be like, mommy, mommy, mommy. And you'd have to just take care of it. So what's the best way to do it? Just be real with your clients or whoever you're talking with. Like, hey, by the way, I have a family emergency I've got to take care of real quick. I know this is going to be hard for you. I'll call you right back. I appreciate your patience with me. Take care of the family. This is the reason why you're doing this job, is for the family, mom. You are working for the family. You're not working for yourself. You're not working for anyone else. You're working for your family. So remember, they're number one in this. I heard it this morning on a great podcast I listened to. I'll give a big shout out to Marie Forleo's podcast. She has a fantastic podcast. I was listening to it this morning, and he, the gentleman, the guest on her podcast today, even stated that himself, that as a man, he struggled with the fact that he would be so amazing at work and do all these amazing things at work. And then he'd come home and just be exhausted and have no energy for the family and have none of that fantastic, magnetic, exciting energy that we put out for everyone else, everywhere else, because we're just spent for the day. He said that was his biggest challenge. And I got to tell you, this mama never really had that much of a struggle because I planned everything first around my kids' schedules. And yes, my husband too. Because I was it. I had to get them where they needed to be. And I was the one that had to do all of that because my hubby had a regular job. He doesn't work with me. He wasn't around to support me in the business hours he worked. He'd leave at 6 a.m. and come home between 3 and 4. And so I was the one that had to make sure the kids got where they needed to go. So I did just that. I booked everything around their schedules first. Worked really well for me. And I'll tell you, I'll be really honest, no one knew why I wasn't available. It was just simply put, easiest words to use. Sorry, I already have an appointment at that time. I'd be glad to take you at this time. It's literally what I did. If my kids had a soccer game, I was at their soccer game. It was already booked. You can't have that time. Already booked. Now, there's a lot of people out in the world that don't get that or respect that, right? They have challenges with that. I really don't care. That's your problem. And you probably didn't love hearing that because my priority is my kids and being present, healthy, and happy and getting them to their destinations, getting them to the activities that they did. So, yeah, that was my life. I had 4 sons. They played in all the sports, they did all of the activities, and I still led a thriving real estate career. Now, did I do as much production or make as much money back then as I do now? Probably not. And it wasn't because of the fact that I put the kids first. It was likely just because I was just beginning my business and learning how to balance all of that. And believe me, I don't believe in balance, but I do believe in being present in what you're doing at that moment. So you throw everything else out the door and you be present in that moment. So it worked really well for me. And I always incorporated my boys into the work. I mean, obviously, I have a family real estate team now. All of my kids have worked in the business. Have they liked it? Not all of them. Are some here for good? You better believe it because they loved it. So I just incorporated them. I remember we would have to fold flyers. I would give them the flyers and I'd be like, this is how we fold flyers. And I would teach them how to fold flyers. And then we would go pass out flyers. Do you remember doing that, Nolan? Yes, he does. He remembers. I was like, well, if anyone's going to teach them how to do the things of business, well, may as well be mama because I'm figuring it out too. Right. So I just incorporated them, I made them part of it. And they learned to ask for money in return. So not only were they being paid to do it, but they were now participating and super, super stoked to receive some cash on the back end so they could go off and do their 7-Eleven trips or their snack bar trips or whatever they wanted. So it worked out well. So again, I'm going to really emphasize I don't focus on balance. I focus on being present in the moment. I think your greatest stress is when you run around and you're like, oh, I've got my phone ringing and my text notifications and my clients need me and I need this and I need that. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Everything is urgent in its own way. And yet I'm present to only what's happening in front of me. Everything else will get responded to as I become available. I'm going to tell you, that makes for a very calm way of doing life. It's just very, very calm. Makes it easier. And the other person on the other end of the conversation feels validated. So my kids feel validated. My husband feels validated. And I'm going to be really honest. That's probably the biggest challenge there is when my husband tries, intends to have a conversation with me, and I'm still managing a cell phone. I got to put it down. I got to be aware of him. A lot of times I'll just say, babe, let me finish this. I'll be right with you. Right? Does he love that answer? Of course not. Does he respect it? He does, because at least I acknowledged that I heard him and he knows that I'm working and I'm going to finish this conversation really quickly and then address what he needs and be present for him as well. Has it always been like that? No. I've grown into this business. I've grown into doing it better. My family's grown into it. I didn't have these unreasonable expectations. I remember so long ago when my father told me, he said, Lori Alvarez, my sweet daughter, do not, well, actually, he always says Lori Lockwood because he's still in his own world. I'm still Lockwood, my maiden name. Anyways, he said, don't try to be super wife, super mom. Get some help. So, guys, don't try to do life alone. Don't try to do life like perfectly. Get me. Be real. I left one of my kids at the park. What kid was that? Oh, it was Nolan. Oh, Nolan. You, yeah, he remembers. Come on, none of us are perfect. We all drop the ball, right? Or drop the kid or make the mistake. And you just fumble through it and come out on the other side better for it. As long as you allow for you to grow in the moment. I'm gonna just tell you again, right? We all are gonna be challenged by the things of life that are pressing in on us. And I think that that's probably the greatest challenge, right? You forget your kid at the park. You realize you forgot your kid at the park. Luckily, the people at the park, they loved me, know me, and knew who I was and knew he was my kid. They grabbed him and they took care of him and they waited for me to come back, right? That worked out well. And hey, Nolan believed he was taken care of and protected because he had an imaginary lightsaber to protect him. Right, Nolan? He had his imaginary lightsaber and he was just going to walk his bottom home with no challenges, is what he told me. So I raised a confident young man. That makes me super happy, right? Even in our failures, you learn, you have the opportunity to become something better. You just move through those moments and you go, all right, that was challenging and it worked. I had one rule when the boys were all little and I would go about with them because I had four of them. And then we always had a bunch of extras because, of course, I did all the extracurricular activities with them. And I wanted to control the calendar. So I was always in leadership. So, yes, I was in charge of my church ministry. Yes, I was in charge of the Cub Scout pack. Yes, I was in charge of all the stuff except baseball. I really didn't like participating in any of the baseball stuff. I like just watching the kids. I let my husband do the baseball stuff. But I will tell you, I loved doing it. And I had one rule with the boys. I said, you boys learn to keep mommy in sight. I do not want to have to look for you. They knew my rules, they knew my regulations, and I'm not a fan of rules and regulations. So when I set them, they are aware of them and they participated willingly. They knew what the expectations were for us to succeed as a family to get from one location to the other. And every once in a while, they break the rules. You leave them at the park. It happens. It's not the end of the world. And yes, it could be. And it wasn't. Thankfully and gratefully, I grew. He grew. We became better for it. My husband became better. We hustled back. We found him. We did our thing. We talk about it now all the time. I was so proud of him. He wasn't even afraid. He was like, Mommy, I got this. I can take care of it. So, in your biggest challenges in life, they can actually be your greatest moments if you allow them, when you allow them. I'm going to be really, really, really real here. It's been fun having my family in the business. It's been fun having them join me. People go, oh, well, aren't they going to go and do something else or get a real job? Air quotes around that, of course. They have their real job. I've inspired my kids to live their best life. I've inspired them to do only what they love so that they love getting up every day because I'm going to be really real here. I love what I do and I love getting up every day and serving the families I get to serve in this business. And I only want my sons to have the same experience. So, what does that mean? They're all doing what they love or figuring out how they're getting there, right? That's just how life is. I remember they all graduated, or I've got one more that I'm working towards graduation, but they were all graduating. And as they're graduating, your brain says, oh, what are they going to do? How are they going to do it? When will they become the man they were meant to be? It's time and experience. You know what? I'm not the woman I was 20 years ago. I'm still growing into that woman that I'm supposed to be. And I don't believe I'll ever get there until I finally leave this earth for my eternal place in heaven. So look, we're growing always. We're changing always. Nothing is forever, including your job and or choice in life, right? You just make the commitment, you move through it, you be aware of it. And if it doesn't work out, you let it go and you learn from it and you become better because of it. the beautiful thing is watching my sons in my life as a working mom in real estate come into my business, make it our business, and find their place within the business. Or they step out of the business and step into their own dreams. That's what I want them to do. That is the life I want them to live. So I'm watching that. I'm seeing that. They're a great support piece to us in this real estate business. They can be a part of it. I will tell you, as a mom who works, you can either push them out, your family, or you can bring them in. I'd rather do business with them than without them. So I chose to bring them in and find them their place within the business. Is it perfect? No. Do I fire them? You bet. And they still come back, which means they're willing to learn again. I remember when my mom fired me from doing dishes. I was like, I will willingly be fired from that position and not come back. If they're still coming back, it means they want to learn, do right, do better, be more, have more, give more. They don't want to give it up. And if they fly, fantastic. They found what they love. So give your children, your family, the freedom to do that. Moms, when you're working, it's all about incorporating them into the calendar, letting them be part of the calendar, teaching them how to manage a calendar, showing them how to run a business. It's not about pushing them away because you got to focus. Of course, you need your focus time. Be real, schedule it. I am not a fan of staying up late, so I make sure I get focus time. I find a supporter that allowed for me to focus. I remember, and I'm going to end with this. 17 years ago, 18 years ago, 16 years ago, whatever it be, when I got my real estate license, I passed my real estate exam, and the Department of Real Estate said, Lori Alvarez, you are licensed to sell real estate. I remember sitting on the porch with my best girlfriend. She had 4 kids as well. Her and I would always sit on that front porch. We'd hang out every day and wait for our kids to get out of school. We'd sit there together and then we'd walk together to go get our kids, and then we'd go home. I was always jealous because she only lived 2 houses from the school and I had to drive all the way home. That's another podcast recording you can listen to. But I will tell you this. I remember she looked at me and I looked at her. I said, I got my real estate license. I'm going to go sell some houses and help families move. And she looked at me and she said, yep, I'm going back to teaching and working at the hospital. She was a nurse. And we both looked at each other and we both willingly said, we're going to do this. And I looked at her and I said, you realize we're complicating our life. And she said, yeah, we really got it easy right now. So it's not so easy when you're incorporating a whole new calendar into your life. She said, yeah, that's for sure. And I remember I said to her, and it'll be well worth it. The journey has not ended, and it is well worth it, as long as you keep your focus on why you're doing it, which is for the family you brought together. Don't lose your family. Keep them as a priority. Remember they're first. And hey, when you mess that up, apologize and get right back to it. It's not forever. It's just an apology that says, I forgot my focus and I'm back and I love you guys and we're going to do this together. So families, mothers in real estate, mothers who are working, you can do real estate any way you want. You can do your work any way you want. Just make sure that you don't forget to put the family first, because in that is where you'll find the greatest joy of doing the job that you want to do outside the family, because you are doing it for them. Thanks so much. It's Lori Alvarez. We'll talk with you next week. Have an amazing, amazing day. You need to subscribe, like, rate, review, and share this forward. It's not easy being a mom or dad in any business, and yet you can do it. Thanks again. All right, Irma, you're up.